The last leaf. The last leaf, as I said earlier in my previous class, that this story is an inspiring story in which we have three characters: Bahraman, an old painter, Johnsy and Siu. Actually, when we talk about Johnsy and Siu, we talk about that they are young artists. They are struggling, they are hardworking, and they earn their living by making a model. They are painters actually. And since they are very young, they don't have sufficient money for their survival. So they lived in a poor colony. They have a flat, they share the same flat, both of them live together. At the same time, actually Behraman also lives in the same apartment, but Behraman lives on the ground floor, whereas Johnsy and Siu, they live on the third floor of the apartment. So both of them are friends and they live together. When we talk about Johnsy and Siu, actually Johnsy is not confident of herself. She is a weak-willed girl. Actually, she has a superstitious belief which has stuck her mind that she will die when the last leaf on the ivy creeper will fall. Actually, she catches pneumonia and she would lie on her bed and she would look out of the window to see an ivy creeper. Ivy creeper, it's an ivy plant, it's a climbing plant, and this climbing plant is climbing up half the wall. Actually, suppose this is a room, she has caught pneumonia, she would lie on her bed and then there is a window and she could gaze out of the window, the front wall. There is a wall. There is a wall opposite the window and very close to the wall there is an ivy plant. It's a creeper, it's a climbing plant, and she continues to count the falling leaves of the plant. And then she has an idea, means this is a foolish idea, very irrational idea I would say. It's a superstitious belief, andvishwas. So it's a superstitious belief, it's a blind faith that she would die when the last leaf on that plant will fall. So there is no connection with the fall of the last leaf and her death. But this idea has got stuck in her mind. So I discussed everything in my previous class. So today I'll give you the explanation of this lesson. So let's go for the line by line explanation of this lesson. It's autumn, the wind is blowing hard and it's raining heavily. All the leaves on an ivy appear have fallen except one. So why does this fast leaf fall? Let's try to understand. Siu and Johnsy, two young artists, underline it, shared a small flat. The flat was on the third story of an old house. Johnsy fell very seriously ill in November. She had pneumonia. She would lie in her bed without moving, just gazing out of the window. Siu, her friend, became very worried. She sent for the doctor, and then although the doctor came every day, there was no change in Johnsy's condition. One day the doctor took Siu aside and asked, "Is anything worrying Johnsy? Is anything else which is disturbing Johnsy?" Siu replied, "No." "But why do you ask?" the doctor said. "Johnsy, it seems, has made up her mind that she is not going to get well. If she doesn't want to live, medicines will not help her." It's a very important line. Siu tried her best to make Johnsy take an interest in things around her. She talked about clothes and fashions, but Johnsy did not respond. Johnsy continued to lie still on her bed. She brought her drawing board into Johns's room and started painting. To take Johns's mind off her illness, underline it, she whistled while working. Suddenly, Sue heard Johnsy whisper something. She quickly rushed to the bed and heard Johnsy counting backwards. She was looking out of the window and was saying 12. After some time, she whispered 11 and then 9, 8, 7. She anxiously looked out of the window. She saw an old ivy creeper climbing halfway up the brick wall opposite their window. In the strong wind outside, the creeper was shedding its leaves. "What is it, dear?" Sue asked. "6," whispered Johnsy. "They are falling faster now. 3 days ago, there were almost 100 leaves. They are only 5 left now." "It's autumn," said Sue, "and the leaves will fall. When the last leaf falls, I will die." "Underline it," said Johnsy with finality. "I have known this for the last 3 days." "Oh, that's nonsense," replied Sue. "What have the old ivy leaves to do with your getting well? The doctor is confident that you will get better." Johnsy did not say anything. Sue went and brought her a bowl of soup. "I don't want any soup," said Johnsy. "I'm not hungry. Now there are only 4 leaves left. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I will sleep forever. I will sleep forever." Sue sat on Johnsy's bed, kissed her and said, "You are not going to die. I can't draw the curtain for I need the light. I want to finish the painting and get some money for us. Please, my dear." "Friend," she begged Johnsy, "promise not to look out of the window while I paint." "All night," said Johnsy. "Finish your painting soon, for I want to see the last leaf fall. I am tired of waiting. I have to die, so let me go away peacefully like one of those poor, tired leaves." "Try to sleep," said she. "I have to paint an old miner. I will call Berriman up to be my model." Sue rushed down. Berriman lived on the ground floor. He was a 60-year-old painter. Underline it. His lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece, but that had remained a dream. Sue poured out her worries to Berriman. She told him how Johnsy was convinced that she would die when the last leaf fell. "It's stupid," asked Berriman. "How can she be so foolish? She's running a high temperature," complained Sue. "She refuses to eat or drink. That worries me a lot." "I will come with you and see Johnsy," Berriman said. They tiptoed into the room. Johnsy was sleeping. Sue drew the curtains together and they went to the next room. She peeped out through the window. There was only 1 leaf on the creeper. It was raining heavily and icy cold wind was blowing. It seemed as though the leaf would fall any minute now. Berriman did not say a word. He went back to his room. Johnsy woke up next morning. In a feeble voice, she asked Sue to draw the curtain. Sue was nervous. She drew back the curtains very reluctantly. "Oh," she exclaimed as she looked at the vine creeper. "Look, there is still 1 leaf on the creeper." So, actually, as I said right now, that Sue and Johnsy, they were 2 young artists. They were also painters. They were upcoming artists. They lived in the same flat. They had similar tastes and they had similar profession. Their profession was similar, same. And actually they lived on the 3rd floor of that building. They lived on the 3rd floor of an old house. Once Johnsy fell seriously ill in the month of November, and actually she has caught pneumonia, and just because of it she would lie on her bed without moving, and she would just look out of the window. And as I said, that there was an ivy vine, there was an ivy creeper. It's a climbing plant just opposite the window, just on the front wall, and she could every day see the falling leaves. So one day, actually, Sue was very much worried about her friend. She was a faithful friend. She was very caring and very loving. She nursed and she was her well-wisher. She wanted uh, John C. to recover very soon, and she was trying her level best, but John C. had stopped all hope of recovery. She had stopped all hope to live. She had lost the willingness to live. She had lost the hope that she would be able to live. Means she had a superstitious belief that she would die when the last leaf on the ivy plant will fall. So Sue sent for the doctor. The doctor came and the doctor told Sue that your friend will not be better because she is having some other problem, and in this regard medicines will not work. I am giving her medicines, I am giving her treatment, even though there is no improvement. She is not showing any improvement. She is not changing at all. Her condition is not changing. So what happened? And she wanted to divert her attention. She had stopped taking interest in her work. She had stopped taking interest in dressing, eating, but she tried her level best to encourage her. She would paint the whole night in order to earn money. She would provide her better food. She would look, and she used to look after her ailing friend, her sick friend, John C. One day, both John C. and one day, John C. got inside her room and she found that, John C. didn't get, Sue got inside her room and found that she was sleeping. And she was, at that time she was not sleeping. When Sue got inside, she found that John C. was lying on her bed and she was counting the falling leaves. She was whispering 12, 11, 10, 9, 7, 8, 9, 7, like that. Actually, she was counting the leaves on she was counting the falling leaves on the ivy creeper, on the ivy plant, which was out of her window on the front wall. And she has linked, actually it was quite irrational, illogical idea which has got stuck in her mind, and she was under the impression, it was a false impression, and she was under the impression that when the last leaf on this plant will fall, she will die. This is quite irrational, illogical. There is no connection with the falling of the last leaf with her death. And she tried to divert her attention. Always tried to divert her attention, isn't it? And she said, "No, my dear, you are not going to die. God wants you to live." Actually, so what happened? One day she went to Behraman, and Behraman was a 60-year-old painter. He was a failure as a painter, and his lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece. Masterpiece means excellent painting. This was Behraman's dream. His dream was to paint a masterpiece. His dream was to paint an excellent painting. He was a drunkard. People used to call him a man of dull brain, but he was not like that. Actually, so Sue went to Behraman, who lived on the ground floor, and told everything about John C.'s condition. Then Behraman came with her, and both of them, both John C. and Behraman, tiptoed, very secretly got inside John C.'s room, and at first Behraman said that, "Is your friend foolish? Why does she think like that she will die the moment when the last leaf on this ivy plant will fall? Nothing is like that. Your friend is quite foolish. She should not think like that." But Behraman, was a very kind-hearted man. He was sympathetic, and he did a lot for John C. He saved the life of John C. So what happened then, uh, when we talk about it, and she said, is your friend stupid? Is she stupid? How can she be so foolish? Verman talked about Johnsy, that is your friend foolish, and how foolish he is to talk like this, how foolish your friend to think like this, that she would die the moment when the last leaf of, or when the last leaf of the plant will fall, isn't it? Then she is running. Actually, she is running a high temperature, complained Sue. Sue said, you should not talk. Sue said nothing. She said she is running a high temperature, means she has high fever. And it's fever because she has caught pneumonia. And she has refused to eat and drink. She has refused to eat and drink. And just this worries me a lot. I am very much worried about her condition because she has just stopped eating, she has just stopped drinking, and she has just stopped talking. She only thinks about her death. She only counts the leaves, though I have tried my level best to request her to stop counting the falling leaves, yet she is not doing that. She is so upset. My friend is so upset. So please do something for her. Actually, as I said earlier, that he had saved his life, and how has he saved his life, I'll discuss in the next class. Thank you very much. So as we have seen that Johnsy is a weak and thin girl. She had set up, actually Johnsy had set up a studio with the help of her friend Sue. And she fails to, being weak, she fails to cope up with the severity of the disease. She becomes mentally weak, and as she continues to watch the falling leaves of an ivy on the front wall of a window, she has a very strange fancy, has a very strange idea. She begins to believe, means she starts believing that the moment the last leaf of the ivy falls, she will go. She will go means she will die. So it reveals how one becomes so irrational and illogical at the weak moments of life. So actually the idea of death gets fixed in Johnsy's mind. The idea of death gets so fixed in Johnsy's mind that she stops paying attention to her friend's request to stop counting the fallen leaves. So she becomes hard-hearted and self-centered. But the moment she realizes that the last leaf painted by Behrman, unknown to her, will not fall, then at last she becomes hopeful, and she demands soup and a mirror to look at her face. And then she declares that she has realized that it is a sin to want to die. God wants her to live. So actually, as I have come to know about Johnsy, but when we talk about Sue, like her friend, Johnsy is also an upcoming artist. And she is a faithful friend. She is very loving, very caring friend. She seems to be very fond of Johnsy. You know, she weeps bitterly on being told by the doctor that there was little hope of Johnsy's recovering from illness. But at the same time, we see that Sue is bold and courageous. She hides the truth from her friend and continues to encourage her. She tries to look cheerful in front of her. She requests her not to count the fallen leaves of the ivy. She does her best to convince her friend that it is foolish to link your death with the falling of the last leaf. So she wants to nurse her friend well by looking after her needs. She looks after her needs and by providing her good food. At the same time, she works hard, as I said earlier. She works really hard on the sketch for painting the whole night so that she may earn some money to buy some port wine for her friend. And as I said, that she is a caring friend. she snubs Behraman for speaking ill of a friend. However, she is all praise. She appreciates Behraman for him. She appreciates Behraman when she learns about his death in painting the last leaf on the front wall. Dear students, that's all for today, and I'll discuss the rest of the things in my next class. Till then, be happy, keep learning, keep practicing at home. Thank you very much.